in this video, we are going to be looking at active listening and creating an environment that is conducive to solving conflict resolution. So the first aspect of active listening is that you have to be a willing participant. There's almost no point, and I've been in legal mitigations, and I've been in multiple conflicts that are kind of forced, and if the other party has no interest in the conflict resolution and they are not listening, it's almost a guarantee that nothing is going to get solved in that, and it may even get worse. So let's unravel what good active listening actually looks like in terms of being a willing participant.
Well, just to go back to what you said about unwilling participants, is winning the argument the most important thing? If it is, good luck with active listening. You have to decide. What is recommended is to decide what it is that you're looking to achieve. That's really kind of that first step, is looking what it is I'm looking to achieve in this discussion. If it's to win and to be right, that conflict's going to be escalated and sustained for some time. If you're looking to achieve some peace, not even justification, because justification kind of falls into winning as well. Peace, resolution, having the ability to put a conflict behind us and to resolve it and move on. If that's what it is, then active listening is something that you are going to engage in naturally. You're going to want to hear what the other person's perception and opinion is, what they're feeling, what the actual message is trying to get across. And you're more concerned with understanding the other perception of the conflict as opposed to just being heard. Everybody, it's a common comment you heard, I just want to be heard, I just want to be listened to. Well, maybe ask the question, how much are you listening and hearing yourself? Because again, taking that higher functioning role, you're actively engaged in listening, you're offering the listening, you're offering being heard. And then from there, temperature should cool down and provide a space where you're going to be able to be heard as well. But if you're able to understand and really understand where the other person's coming from, it's going to give you the ability to not even have a rebuttal. The rebuttal no longer becomes important. It's to be able to find that common ground. And that's one of the first steps after the active listening, but really engaging, being 100%, and giving that, offering that listening, offering that being heard energy first is going to create a space for it to be reciprocated.
Absolutely. And so having this discovery, this discussion before the discussion is such a key piece. What are we looking to achieve in this? Are you able to sit here and listen? Having those questions and really highlighting them before the actual discussion, it's almost like a preemptive practice to having some dialogue before you get into the meat and potatoes of the conflict. And I also like to think of it from an energetic standpoint. So when we are in our energy field and when we start to understand our own intelligent energy field, we can be in an energy of contraction, which is a closed off, shut down level of energy where we are not perceptive, we're not permeable to understanding. Or we can set our energy point into a place of expansion. And usually this expansion also aligns itself with compassion, calmness, and openness. And those are the energetic states that in this discovery, before we dive into the conflict, that will really open up these energy channels of active listening, understanding, and an energetic openness that helps to lead to conflict resolution.
One element about setting the energy field that we're going to sit in is if a TV's blasting in the background, if music's cranked, it's not exactly a peaceful situation. It is helping to elevate the energy and amplify the emotions, and especially hindering the ability to feel heard. I find it difficult to be able to feel heard when there's so many other loud distractions that are going on. Even being in a clean space Or removing from the space and going to neutral ground sometimes may even help as well. Being able to create an environment that's providing a calm energy certainly makes conflict resolution, at least on the first steps. And it certainly makes it a little bit easier to actively participate in listening when there aren't any distractions, when there are not loud noises or high energy. Could you imagine being at a heavy metal concert and trying to feel like you're getting your point across? It's going to feel almost impossible. But being able to slow it down and allow a person to stop or pause, even if it's for minutes at a time, so they can collect their thoughts, because maybe the other person's trying to be able to articulate themselves in a way that they aren't going to cross the boundaries as well. Give them that space and that time to respond. There's been many times I've had conversations where I've waited 1, 2, 3 minutes in silence, allowing a person to put their thoughts together. It's not a race. You don't need to speed through it. Sometimes active listening just means waiting, patiently waiting, and allowing that person to come up with their thoughts and to put it into words of how they're feeling or what it is that they're trying to express. It doesn't need to be, hey, I asked you a question, answer it now. Sometimes it's say, hey, take your time, collect your thoughts, and sometimes that alone de-escalates the situation because they can realize, oh, wait a second, maybe I am overblowing this, and the conflict will resolve itself. Sometimes they're afraid to say something because they don't know what the response is going to be. This must bring up the courage to say something that's incredibly important to that person, but it's also quite a bit of fear to be able to express something that's important as well.
Well, and that's part of active listening as well. Oftentimes, conflict is created from the masks, from the falsehoods that we are operating in to try to, meander our way through a society that isn't always conducive to the real, authentic us. And so allowing that safe space for that individual to come forth with mask off in their real raw state is one of the most important aspects of active listening. It will cultivate a sense of trust, and that's also so key to active listening. If you feel that the individual that you're sitting across from or the individuals or group is trustworthy, you can trust them with what you're bringing forth, you're going to be much more available to be coming forth with your truth, with your needs, with the things that are important to you. And when you feel that that trust is there, you will find that all parties open up and so much dialogue and so much progress is made. Now, in contrast to that, when you are coming into the middle of a conflict with false pretenses, with walls up, with a chip on your shoulder, and all of this negative baggage, and really sitting in an energy of not wanting to hear anything that the other individual is saying or bringing forth, well, that is absolutely the opposite of active listening. That is counterproductive, and it's not listening at all. So that's that contracted state I was talking about earlier. But it is really important that when we are dissecting these things, that we kind of look at its opposite as well. So when you're looking at your own behavior, when you are starting or in the middle of conflict and you're truly dissecting your own role in the conflict, because that's really all you can ever do. You can have all of these great coping skills, you can have all of these great roadmaps, but the only person that you truly ever have control over is yourself. And when we are dissecting that, we have to look at the role we're playing. Are we being that best listener? Are we unmasking? Are we being honest? Are we being trustworthy? Are we being passive aggressive or not forthcoming? So always look at the self and make those adjustments in the self, and you should see those things hopefully mirrored in the other participants.
There's a belief I have that all conflict is about a battle for control, whether it's a control of your own environment or whether it's a control over the other person or control just to force the other person to listen to you. We have no control over another person, period. We just don't. It's as much as we'd love to be able to control the entire world and have them just completely adapt to what our desires and wishes and needs are. That's just not life, no more than we want somebody else to control us, to act on everyone else's whim. When we realize that the only person and the only thing that we truly have 100% control over is ourselves, makes it much easier to be able to say, hey, how am I acting in this? How am I responding? What is my active participating role? Am I giving 100% attention into listening to the other person? Am I behaving the way that I want them to behave? And setting that example and really engaging at a higher level and accepting self-responsibility, whether the other person's 100% at fault. What is still our response to it? What is our responsibility to ourselves of being able to maintain our energy, of being able to hold on to our energy and keep ourselves collected with our thoughts, and making sure we're also managing our actions that are to the resolution of our energy.
And everything in terms of your ecosystem, your joy, your happiness, your resilience in life, your life experience. There are going to be times in terms of conflict where the other participant or group just isn't capable of any conversation. And this is where you have to ask yourself, why are you putting your time, attention, and energy there? There's always the option of simply just walking away and removing yourselves. And the thing about this is, and that is a power move as well. When you just disengage altogether, that sends a message that you're not willing to play war. You're not willing to expend energy on something that's going nowhere. And so I wanted to bring this up, and I wanted to highlight it because I have been in these situations where I have been the bigger person. I'm constantly coming to the table with all of these tools. I know we were having a discussion yesterday about there are toxic situations where you just cannot get through to the other individual. So let's have a little bit of dialogue about that as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's like having a pot of boiling water on a stove, and crank it to 9, and it's going to be a violent, bubbling, boiling over. You turn that down to 7, and the temperature cools down, but it's still hot. It may not be a rolling boil, but it's still hot. If you take that same pot here and move it off the stove altogether, it's going to eventually become ice cold. And if you remove yourself from that equation, sometimes that is the only tool that you have to take ultimate control of yourself. If you're dealing with a belligerent that maybe is, under substances, extreme toxic behavior, you feel that there's just no getting through to that person. Sometimes no amount of being able to have self-control to communicate with the person is going to be effective. And removing yourself from the equation is going to cut the ties of the energy off. You're no longer feeding that energy. You're no longer giving more power into the conflict. And if you remove that energy from the conflict, at least that gives ourselves that ability to collect our thoughts, to be able to stay calm or cool back off. Maybe the situations approach later when the person's level, when the opposing person or even ourselves are a little more level-headed and open to communicating without emotional bursts. Emotional people do irrational things, and if a person's highly emotionally charged, whether it's ourselves or the person we're in conflict with, that emotional charge is going to say or do things that may or may not be regretted later. And being able to have that power to walk away from a conflict situation, one, you're going to be able to create your own self of safety, that own sense of safety for yourself. You're going to be able to calm back down, look at it rationally. Am I really upset because of this? Or is this legitimate? Is this a legitimate safety concern that maybe I shouldn't even be in this situation? And if it is a legitimate safety situation, then you, and only you, have got that responsibility to remove yourself from that. Because the belligerent is not going to take that into consideration whatsoever. You have got the responsibility in your own life to remove yourself completely from that if it's the appropriate response that you feel is the step to be taken.
Absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, conflict resolution is a return to peace. And so you need to find whatever tools you can to return to your own peace, that balanced equilibrium. It is your responsibility to do so for yourself, for your family, for your workplace, for your country, whatever it may be. And so, again, it's something that you may have to walk away, you may have to step away, you may have to disengage, and that may be the only chess move that you have to be able to take. All right, we're gonna wrap this video up and click through to the next video to highlight your next lesson in conflict resolution.